So on November 8th, legislation was introduced to repeal a 2015 law that established Mvskoke Media as a free press. And so that legislation was passed in an emergency National Council session, November 8th, and signed into law that night as well. And just through social media outlets, citizens were talking back and forth, and really this, this initiative came up through social media and just continue to get a lot of attention from citizens within the jurisdiction and outside the jurisdiction, outside of the state of Oklahoma. And so several of us came together through social media and researched the Mvskoke Creek Nation Constitution, and that's where the Citizens Initiative lies within the Constitution. And so we drafted the application to start this initiative process. So it is a couple of steps according to the Constitution, and so we drafted the initial application to begin this process, which includes the exact wording of the action, which in this case is a referendum to reject NCA 18-180 that repealed Mvskoke Media as a free press. And so along with that, it requires 100 signatures of registered voters who voted in the last chief's election as sponsors. And so once we get those signatures, then it'll be presented to the chief via the Secretary of the Nation, and then the Secretary of the Nation will certify the application, and that will begin the petition process. Well, I think just the nature of the emergency session, the legislation was introduced to my knowledge that morning and presented as a public document, and emergency session was held that night, and it was voted on and signed into law all within about 12 hours. And so that was a big concern to myself and to a lot of other people. And so as a citizen, we felt this is a right to have free press, and as we stated in our application, it's our right as citizens, but it's also our duty to defend it. And so collectively we came together as citizens and drafted this application and have been moving forward and have received a lot of response. Like I said, a lot of people within the jurisdiction, but then a lot of people outside, who rely on Mvskoke Media, and this outlet as, a credible news source, whenever it comes to information about the nation. And so, and I know that has been a big concern, the credibility, and I'm not as familiar with the journalistic society, but I know that there are standards that need to be met, with any sort of governing body, I would assume, and I know that those are part of it, to maintain the credibility of this news source. Sure, I get that at times. I see, with any news source, you get that a lot. And in this situation, Sure, I felt that, a little bit, hey, there's some negativity being reported, but that shouldn't be the basis of it. I mean, that is all newsworthy. That is all information that we need to know. I think some of the issues came as a result of negative press on some of the council members. Again, that's information that we need to know as citizens, as voters. What are the ethical standards? What's the conduct of our elected tribal leaders? So sure, we want more positive stories out there. I mean, we'd like to promote all the great things that we're doing, but I don't think that's a basis to repeal the free press. Right now, it's all through it's all online on mostly on Facebook, through my account, my personal account. We have a couple of people out there who are getting signatures, and really we're doing it just through the social media outlet. We're setting up times. A couple of volunteers have been going around collecting signatures. For this initial process, that's sort of the best way to do it. We feel like, because it's 100 signatures and we're close to getting that 100 signatures and filing the application. Now, once we get into the petition phase, which is going to require a lot more signatures, then I think we're still going to use social media and allow people to download it themselves across the nation and then mail it back to one certain point. But right now, there's a few individuals who have it, and we're using social media messages and emails to contact each other and let people know of where we're taking those signatures. Yeah. According to the Constitution, 90 days to reject a National Council action, and so it's a little unclear on that, if that's the whole petition process or if that's this application stage that we're in right now, if there's 90 days to get the application done. It's a little unclear on that, but I feel confident that we're going to have the application stage done, this week or next week. And so 90 days out, I believe February 6, 2019. So again, like I said, it's a little unclear on that process. But there is a timeline to reject an action, which is 90 days, and that's stated in the Constitution. There's no time limit for citizens to initiate legislation. So that means, drafting your own legislation and following this application process to get it to a petition. So there appears to be no timeline on something along that lines. But all in all, I think the timeline is early next year to have this, or even if we can, I think it'll be it has a lot of initiative behind it. So I think December or even early next year. No, I mean, I just feel, as citizens, this is, not only a right, but a duty, to come together and let our elected leaders know how we feel, and again, I think in this situation, the fact that citizens weren't really given that opportunity because of an emergency session that came out. I emailed Principal Chief and all the National Council to let them know how I felt, but I believe at that time it had already been signed into law. So there was really no opportunity for citizens to be heard. And so I just encourage citizens to continue to keep those channels open, and to the tribal leaders to continue to keep those channels open to hear the voice of the people, and you know, for the citizens, you know, if that's not the case, then we need to let them know, you know, our voice, you know, let our voice be heard.